Cool.
You're good to go.
Cool. Okay, so here's what we're talking about today. This is your 3 shifts to CEO. So what to delegate, how to delegate, all of the tasks efficiently and effectively. I'm not sure why this slide got cut off, but that's what we got. So I always start this presentation with this particular slide, right? And this really hits home. This is something that I remind myself all the time. I would rather make 1% from 100 people's efforts than 100% from my own. Obviously, brilliant man, great businessman, but there's something in here that I think is very, very important to note. And it's that a lot of us are making things a lot harder for ourselves than we need to. And everything that we're going to be talking about today is all going to be about delegation, automation, and the order in which you want to do things. For anybody who is here, who is already in the 7-figure agent program, this is going to be a review for you, but you're welcome to stay or you're welcome to go. So this is something that, this was a hard learned lesson for me. Single-handedly as a business owner, not only in my real estate business, starting in my real estate business, the biggest mistake that I made the mistake in the listings lab again. It's a hard lesson to learn. I made the mistake of not delegating tasks sooner and not actually creating leverage in my business sooner. Okay, so I want to start you, and I start my book with this. There's this story has, if you were at the Listings Lab Live, you've heard it before, but I want to start this entire thing with the story that we call internally the spaghetti incident. And the spaghetti incident is really the reason why everything that I teach is the way that I teach it. It is like the culmination of why I want you guys to run real businesses and not just be in a situation where you're running yourself a successful hustle. So this is obviously Eve. If you're new to the program, you may not know him. He is my wonderful husband. He is literally the love of my life, the apple of my eye. I am obsessed with him. And so this story is probably about 10 years old, maybe 8 years old, 9 years old now, but we had been in the office, in our real estate office, pounding away. I was pounding away on the phones. This is even before I shifted my business into the new model that we now teach. And so I'm working away, making probably 300 phone calls that day, and leaving messages. And, he came and knocked on my door and said, "Hey, don't forget, we have date night tonight." And date night is something that we had held very sacred, that we still do. And it was because we were just working so much. I was working so much. I'd been in a situation where my phone would ring and I would cry. And, like I just felt like I was constantly being pulled in a million directions. And so what we did was, we had this date night, and date night was again, it was sacred. So we go to this restaurant, and I know in the days of COVID, some of us don't even remember what restaurants look like, but we're sitting in this very nice restaurant, and we're talking about the future. We're talking about our dreams. We're just like really, really connecting. And at the time, I wore an Apple Watch all the time. And my phone, I'm sure we've all been guilty of this, my phone was sitting on the table right next to me. And my phone rang, and I looked at it, and I felt the buzz on my wrist, and the thought went through my head, don't answer it, don't answer it, don't answer it. And then it kept ringing. And then of course I caved and I answered it. And I spit the spaghetti that was in my mouth into my napkin. I picked up the phone and I walked away from the table. And that was the moment that I thought, ooh, did I just really do that? I pick up the phone. It's just a lead calling me back. It's just some person calling me back. Hey, you left me a message. No, I'm not super interested right now. I walk back to the table. The look on my husband's face would have broken your heart. And I realized in that moment, I'm doing this wrong. I have screwed this up. I'm doing this wrong. This is not how my life's supposed to be. This is the most important relationship and the most important person in my life, and I'm not doing this right. And so everything from that moment on actually shifted. And what I did is I really made sure that we shifted the business model for everything that we were doing inside the business so that that never happened again. Everything in the business was not single threaded through me. And I could do the things like go away for a month with him. I could, spend time watching Netflix on the couch, which is important. I know that it sometimes seems like you're wasting time, but that time that you spend with other humans in your life, whether it's your kids, whether it's your partner, whether it's your parents, whether it's your family, that time actually does really matter. So I wanted to start with that because I wanted you to really understand where everything that I'm going to talk about today actually came from and why I'm so passionate and why I care so much about this, being shared. So if you stay to the very end, I'm going to share with you the most valuable process to get an hour of your day back every day, right? So, and know where to start delegating immediately. And you can start using everything that I'm going to teach you and go through with you. You can start using it literally today. Okay. So I want this to be super valuable for you. So stick around. So let's start with the problem. And this is the problem that I think a lot of us have found ourselves in, either now, in the past, maybe in the future. And the problem is that you have to do everything yourself. Nothing is systematized. It's impossible right now to hand it over and know that someone is going to be able to do it and run with it the way that you would want it done. And a lot of the time, what happens is you get stuck doing things that you hate. And then at the end of the day, your energy's drained and you don't even know what happened today. Now, the biggest problem is really at the end of the day, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I would say 99% of people who get into this business get into it for three major reasons. Number one is unlimited income. Number two is the promise of freedom. And number three is impact, or being able to actually help other people. And these are really the three main things that people are like, yes, I'm drawn to this industry. I want to help people. I'm good with people. And I love the idea of being able to make unlimited amounts of money and set my own schedule and have freedom. But the reality is 99% of agents out there have traded time for money. And nothing happens if you or that agent doesn't do it or manage it. And that's the opposite of these top three things that everybody says that they want. So here are just a couple examples, and we're going to go through, and I'm going to give you case studies as we go through this, so you don't just think that I'm just making it up. This is possible. We've implemented this with people. It works like magic. So this is Sarah. Sarah lives in Washington, and these are her two kids. And after she actually built out systems and delegation and automation in her business, she's able to, not only has she scaled her team, her income has doubled or tripled at this point, but she's also at a point now where she can spend so much more time with her kids, which is really, really important to her. On your top right-hand corner, you've got Heather. Heather was one of the busiest agents I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, I've never seen someone who literally could not eat during the day because she was always run off her feet. So, but a lot of it came down to inefficiencies, not delegating properly, not having the support that she needed, and having no automation in her business. And once we solved that, she's now at a point where, like, she's working half the time that she used to, and she's tripled her business in the last year. So it's and again, she has a new partner, and her partner has a kid, and she has a kid, and she's really got enough time now to really be creating this new family unit that was really important to her. Your bottom right-hand corner, this is Justin. I'm sure lots of you have talked or heard about Justin Lonkarek. He is in the Burlington area. And this year he's starting a second business because he has so much more free time. He's going to do seven figures or multiple seven figures with his hands tied behind his back this year. And, in this winter, he actually had the time and opportunity to build a skating rink for his kids and go skating and play hockey with them every single day. So those are the things that matter. Those are the things that actually are the reasons why you're in this in the first place. And he started a podcast as well. Yeah, Justin's doing all the things. So what actually really keeps you stuck, and what keeps all of us stuck for years and years and years? It's this thought process. No one is going to do it as good as me. It's going to take too much time to train someone. It's easier for me just to do it myself. I wish that there were two of me. I wish there was more hours in the day. More and more, and I say insert more because you have so many other options here that you could probably fill in, right? And so the key here really is that, there are so many things and so many reasons why we stay stuck in this cycle, but it's when we know that it's not good for us and we know that it's not healthy for us. So what's actually possible when you make that initial shift into CEO, when you stop looking at yourself as just the person who absolutely has to do everything yourself? And this is what happens. Number one is you're able to essentially clone yourself. And so you can find and live in your zone of genius. And we're going to talk about zone of genius today as well. And we're going to help define it. You also are going to be able to add an hour of free time every week. You can triple your business and work half of the time. And that's what I want you to really imagine. A lot of the time, we are conditioned in the real estate business, especially, to believe that we have to suffer to be successful. The truth really is that's the opposite of what's true. Right. And that's the opposite of what's true in any business. Right. If you equate how hard you work to how much money you make, then something is very broken here. Right. And so the key really becomes, what are the things that you need to be doing that will drive the business forward? And what are the things that you shouldn't be doing, so that you not only have more free time, but also have more time to spend on the income generating activities? And we're going to get really clear on those. So also we want to create a system where you're able to scale your business at will without it taking any more away from your personal time. So let's start with a question. On a scale of 1 to 10, just post it in the chat. Be super, super honest, no judgment. How effective do you feel like you are at delegating now? 4, 3, 6, 3.5, 4. Okay. Cool. Yeah. And this is normal. Like, I want you guys all to know that, like, this is normal. I used to be a solid 2, and I've gotten myself to a point where I think I'm like a solid 9. Like, I think there's always room for improvement, but I'm at a point now where, like, I'm a solid 9. Something will, and my team is amazing at it. Something will show up on my calendar and Ashley will literally say to me, no, you don't do that. We're going to pull that off your plate, and someone else on the team is going to handle it. So not only is this about, you being able to delegate and manage you and your own time and your own energy, but also getting to a point where your team is essentially there pulling stuff off your plate when you get to that point in your business. So the 3 key shifts to CEO, these are the 3 that we're going to cover today. So number 1, we're going to talk about identifying your current job description so that you're clear on where you are now and what your bottlenecks are in the business as it stands today. 2, we're going to talk about creating your new CEO job description so that you know which tasks to get off your plate first. And number 3, we're going to show you how to document and delegate tasks effectively and efficiently, and your next steps to maintain this reality. So maintain and keep this going so that you remove more and more and more from your plate. So let's start with identifying your current job description. So your current job description is going to be this is really what everything is that you do now. So in order to get the right stuff, the right tasks off your plate, we first need to identify what are you actually even doing right now? And a lot of people don't manage their calendars very well and don't track this very well. So what we're going to do is you're going to open a spreadsheet. Ashley's going to drop the link to the Google spreadsheet into the chat box now. And what you're going to do is you're going to open this spreadsheet. And the way that you're going to use it, I'm going to open it too, and I'm going to show you guys exactly how to use it. So give me 1 second. Share screen. So I'm just going to show you what this looks like. So this is the spreadsheet that I'm talking about. And we call this your energy audit template. So yes, there's tasks in here, but we're also going to equate this down the road with energy and energy input and output. Okay, so what I want you to do here is when you go into this, I want you to hit file and make a copy. Okay, so you have to make a copy. Don't type in this. Ashley gets mad at me every time I do it. I'm going to do it again today though.
No, I'm messaging you your version that you can doodle on.
This is my doodleable version. Okay, cool.
Yes.
So go in here, click the link in the chat box, hit file, make a copy, and this is how you want to use it. So the concept here is just start with today. And I want you to write down every single thing that you do. Okay. The best way to do this is actually to keep this open behind all your stuff that's going on your computer. And every time you task switch, you put this in here. So I want everything in here from checking email and responding to laundry to, making phone calls, to responding to text messages, I want everything in here. Okay. Booking showings. And I want you to put in absolutely everything that you're doing. And then you put in here, you say, is it personal? It's personal. So this is going to be business. This is going to be personal. This is going to be business. This is going to be business. And I want you to go down and categorize all of these things. Okay. So this is really how you initially are going to use this spreadsheet. And so I think that this is going to be really clear, because we're not just going through, and Justin, don't get ahead of yourself here, because it's really, really important that you go through not only the tasks, but we're also going to equate it back into energy. And we're going to talk about, because an energy audit is actually far more valuable than a task audit, because a task audit is only going to get you so far. Okay, so what we've outlined so far is a task audit, which is great. But what we're gonna continue to talk about now, let me just get back into where I wanted to be. What we're going to talk about now is we're actually going to talk about how to shift and what to do with this stuff. Okay, so let me see here. Where did I go to? Okay, so you've opened the spreadsheet, you do the brain dump, all the tasks that you've done today, all the tasks that you've done in the last 7 days, and then everything that you essentially do in the year, right? So the more you task audit, the better. I task audit everyone on my team every 3 months. And the reason why is because there are always going to be things that creep in, to make sure that everyone on your team is not only doing the things that they need to be doing in the most efficient and effective ways, but also making sure that nothing is creeping in that is outside of their zone of genius. So that's how you start. Then you need to figure out, okay, now I have a list of everything that I am doing. What do I need to do now? Okay, and chances are you're going to look at that list and you're going to think, oh my gosh, a lot of this is admin stuff. A lot of this is stuff that doesn't actually make money. Right. And so that's always going to be a little bit of a shocker. And so we want to take that and we want to shift it. So how to create your new CEO job description. Now, the CEO of any business is where the vision comes from. It's where is the business going, right? You can call this a visionary. I think a visionary and a CEO are a little different. I consider myself a visionary. I consider Ashley and I together the CEO of this business, right? So I don't even consider myself the CEO. I would consider Ashley more of the CEO than I am, but I am pure vision. Okay, so it's where is this company going, and then your leadership team eventually, and right now you probably don't have a leadership team on your team, and that's okay. But this is really what you want to be able to build over the long term. Your leadership team is going to figure out the how, okay, and the implementation. So this is really the idea of, instead of outsourcing tasks, of being able to outsource outcomes. So I don't tell my team, okay, here are the things that I need you guys to do. I say to Ashley, how can we generate an extra 5 referrals a month? And then it's her job and my leadership team's job to figure out how and what that looks like. I am the why and the what, and they are the how. And so if I had to finagle every single tiny detail, I would never get as much done as gets done. And that's the key to understanding that your leadership team or the people on your team need to understand that they need to be in charge of outcomes and not just tasks. So the other thing that we want to be really clear on is your zone of genius. And we're going to go into this in a lot more detail in a second. But your zone of genius is the things that you're great at and you love doing. There are always going to be things that you do them, you're good at them, but they kind of drain your energy. Your zone of genius are the things that you can do all day, every day, and you feel almost like you've taken drugs. Like you're full of life and full of juice and you love doing these things. That's your zone of genius. And the goal at the end of the day is for you to live there. The other thing that, yes, drugs, I don't know. I struggled over that. And then the other thing that we want to focus in on as well in the beginning, especially, is your high leverage tasks. So your high leverage tasks are going to be things that are $1,000 an hour plus, or at least $250 to $500 an hour plus. So what we want to do after that point, once you've got the brain dump down, is on the far left-hand side, you'll see a drop down of numbers 1 to 4. And what you want to do in there is you categorize all of the tasks that you've brain dumped into 4 different categories. Number 1, things that you love doing and you're great at. Number 2, the things that you like doing and you're good at. Number 3, the things that you don't like doing but you're good at. And 4, the things that you don't like doing and you're not good at. Right? Like for me, that's bookkeeping. I'm not a bookkeeper. If someone wants me to do bookkeeping, I'm going to avoid it at all costs. And when I do it, it's probably not going to be right. Right. But there are people in the world who, like, that is their zone of genius and they are super good at it. So really what we want to be identifying here are these 4 buckets. And this is just a different way of looking at it, right? So this is where you want to be, the things that you love doing and that you're great at doing. These things are the things that you like doing and you're good at them. Now, these are fun to do while they're novel. But over time, these actually will end up dropping into the bucket of things that you don't like doing, but you're good at, right? You're only going to like doing the things that you're kind of good at for a certain amount of time. And then they're going to drop down into the next category. And then your last category here, which are essentially the things that you should never be doing, are the things that you don't like and you're not good at. So really what we want to be doing is categorizing those things in the 4 categories. And number 1 is your zone of genius, the things that you love doing and that you're great at. Number 2 are the things that you don't like and you're not good at. Those are, like I said before, going to typically drop into the 3rd category after about a quarter, 90 days. The 3rd one is the things that you don't like doing, but you're good at. We want to start to document and delegate those. And then number 4 are the things that you don't like doing and you're not good at. We want to document these to the best of your ability because you're already not very good at them, and delegate those things immediately. So those are always going to be the first things to take off your plate. So again, action item is to make sure that you're filling that out. Now, things to note. And I know that there are certain things that we kind of get in the nitty gritty and we like doing, right? So even if you're really good at something and you love to do it and you think, oh, that's in my zone of genius, if it's like a $10 to $30 an hour task, you still need to delegate it. It still needs to come off your plate because as a business, that's not going to be the most efficient or most effective way for you to be spending any of your time or energy, right? So like these are going to be things like basic customer service, graphic design, bookkeeping, video editing, monitoring your inbox, basic scheduling, things like that. That stuff shouldn't be on your plate. The sooner you can delegate the low leverage tasks, the like $10 to $20 an hour tasks, and focus your time, energy, and attention on actual revenue generating activities, the faster your business is going to grow. So this is going to be like sales, marketing, partnerships, new services, like we call them products, new services, new messaging, things like that. So that stuff is going to bring in more clients, and that's going to be and funny enough, that's actually the stuff that most agents will outsource first, and it's the opposite of what they should be doing. So here's just a couple of examples of the values of tasks. So, $10 an hour tasks are going to be bookkeeping, graphic design, emails, things like that. Low to medium tasks are going to be creating written SOPs, project management, weekly content scheduling, sales copy creation, like just for what's going to go on the website, things like that. $1,000 an hour tasks are going to be things like creating new videos, creating strategic partnerships, making big, higher level decisions, having initial calls with people, seminars, public speaking, things like that are what are going to make the most money with the least amount of time. So this is just an example. We don't actually use Asana anymore, but like this is an example of a simple Asana. What is the task? Is it delegated, or does it need to be documented? That's the point of this slide. Just, is it already delegated? Is it that's on your plate? Does it need to be delegated, or does it need to be documented first? So how to properly document and delegate a task to someone else. Now, there's 2 key things that you want to remember as you start going through this. Number 1, don't overcomplicate the documentation. I've worked with people who were like, I have spent 3 full days trying to document how to do one task. And I'm like, okay, well, clearly we're getting too granular here, and we just need this to be a lot more simple. And also, don't try to make it perfect on the first version. And I mean, you've heard me say this a million times. If you're in the listings lab, perfection is just procrastination. So don't try to make it perfect, just get it done. So there's 2 things that you actually need. So a project management software of some sort. We actually internally, we use Airtable. A lot of people really like Asana, but our Airtable is our number one choice. And Loom. Loom is a screen recording software. That's all you need in order to properly document and properly delegate anything in your business. And it doesn't have, and you can use the free versions of these. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be overcomplicated. That is all you need. A really good project management software and Loom, a screen recording software. So here is what the questions that you need to ask yourself when you're about to delegate a task. So what we use is called Airtable. So here's actually how to do it. This is like the actual, like the meat and potatoes of what needs to be in the standard operating procedure. Number one, what is the task? What are we talking about here? Number two, why is this important? Now, for someone like me, I don't need to know why it's important. But for someone like Ashley, who, if you haven't taken your Colby, is a high fact finder, if I don't tell Ashley why something's important, her brain spirals in a million directions and we're in trouble, right? So there are people, especially people who are going to sit in support roles, chances are they're going to be higher on the fact finder scale, and they're going to need to understand why the task is important in order to buy into it. So the next part is everything step by step should be, how should the task be completed? Step by step instructions. And you should be doing this on a video. Like you should be sharing your screen, talking over the video, and going through exactly what you do in what order so that this person is literally watching you do that task. Now, the next part is, when do you know how the task is complete? How do you know that you're how does this person know that they're finished? Because I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm sure, like, this is a silly example. My idea of a clean kitchen is not the same idea as my husband's idea of a clean kitchen. So when he thinks he's finished, I do not think that he's finished. So this is, again, why it's so important to understand, like, that this person can see, when is this task completed? When can it be marked as a completed task? You also want to include, on average, how long should it take for this person to complete it? Because if it takes you 3 minutes and it takes someone else 30 minutes, we've got a problem. And then the other thing that we want is additional resources, logins, etc., to make sure that they have everything that they need so that they do not have to call you. That's the whole point of this, is that they're able to take this and run with it, and they don't need to call you or message you and say, hey, how do I do this? So again, how to properly document and delegate. Number one, I do it. I document the task or the system. Number two, step two, is I assign I'm going to use Ashley just as the example here because it's easy. I assign, or I hand off that task to Ashley. Then Ashley does it. And I give feedback on how Ashley has done it. And then once Ashley's bang on, she's doing it great, and I'm happy, and she's taken all my feedback, then she does it. She owns the task in the system from now on. And guess what? I never have to do it again. It is completely off my plate. That is no longer part of my job description. Okay. So, how to properly, this is going to be really, really key here, is really fully understanding that the goal here is to do this with as many things that you have in your business and on your task list. So the other thing too is that, let's say that you're a single agent right now, there's no one on your team, but you don't have enough work for you to bring in like a full-time assistant. Cool bananas. We have so many VAs on our team that do certain things. They own certain tasks and certain systems and certain outcomes. Now, the real estate industry as a whole is very strange. I think this is the MREA model that's been taken to the extreme, and that's actually not super valid for a lot of people where they are in their businesses. And it's the concept of the first hire that you make should be a full-time assistant. Well, if you get to a point where you need a full-time assistant, chances are you have hit burnout several times before you've gotten to a point where you consistently have enough to feed that person. So the truth really is what should you be doing? You should be hiring a VA. And we've actually switched VA companies that we're using now, because Ashley has done ton of research on, yeah, this is, so Ashley just put it in the chat. We are using vastaffer.com. Because they are really high quality VAs and they're able to really like take on tasks as long as they're documented, right? How many of us have been in a situation where we've hired a VA or we've hired an administrator, we've had them come in and basically thrown them into our chaos and just expected that that person was going to be able to clean it up and figure it out. And then we fire them because they can't. Well, the truth really is you haven't set that person up for success. And this person, and that actually, like, that failure is your fault, not the admin's fault. And I know that that sucks. It sucks to hear. And I've been in the same situation before too. When I was in my early 20s, I hired my first full-time admin, and like I got taken to the cleaners with her because I didn't have anything documented, and I didn't understand what needed to be passed off and how to set her up for success. So the key here is really understanding what needs to be delegated, how it needs to be delegated, actually like creating the systems, the automation and the delegation that needs to be there, and being able to give it to someone so that they can go through it and do it well right from the beginning, because that's how it's going to come off your plate fastest. The whole idea here is we don't want things always to be single threaded through you, because you will always become the bottleneck. So like I said, stay to the end, get the most profitable, like I promised you this before. So this is something that I do every day, but this is also a quick little 2-minute activity that I highly suggest that you do every day. So at the end of every single day, I don't know how you guys end your day. I tend to end my day in my journal, right? So I'll sit down at the end of the day and I know that I'm not supposed to be on my screens anymore. And I've turned the TV off and I'm sitting with my journal at the end of the day with maybe a tea, and I'm about to go to bed. And I ask myself, what tasks did I do today that were non-CEO related, and that I can delete, delegate, or automate? And that's the order, always the order. Can it be eliminated? Can it be automated? And then can it be outsourced? Outsourcing is not your first choice. Your first choice is always, is this redundant? Can I get rid of it? Is this a task that even needs to get done, period? Can it be automated? Now, the reason why can it be automated is so important is there's so many agents out there who are paying someone $15 an hour to do a task, a repetitive task that can be done by a piece of software for $100 a month. Right? There's a piece of software that's free or $100 a month, and they're paying someone $6,000 a month to do that task, or to do a series of tasks that can be done through automation. That's why it's always eliminate, automate, and then outsource. Outsourcing is the last resort because it's the most expensive. Then what we want to do is, wherever you're tracking all of this, Ashley, can you answer Cindy Lou's question in there if you don't mind?
Yeah.
Then once you know what those tasks are every single day that are non-CEO related that you have on your plate, you add them to your delegation board, whether it's Airtable, whether it's Asana, whether it's a Google spreadsheet. You want to have an ongoing list of things that need to be delegated or need to be automated or taken off your plate, right? And you want to do a complete task audit. You want to do a full energy audit every 90 days, because there's always going to be things that are going to creep in. And I'm super guilty of this too. Like, I'll do one and I'm like, I'm clean. I'm fully in vision mode. I am like 100% in my zone of genius. And then I do a task audit 90 days later and I'm like, oh, how did all these other things end up in here as well that I'm doing? And then again, I go through the process of making sure that my team knows that this stuff needs to come off my plate. So this works whether you're a single agent or whether you have a team of 10. It doesn't matter one way or the other. You still need to make sure that you're going through to make sure that you're operating in your zone of genius as much as possible, and that the things that are in your zone of incompetence, the things that you should not have on your plate, are not on your plate, because those are going to be the things that will actually make you hate your business. They're the things that will make you resent your business. They're the things that will, when you do them, make you feel like you've like run a marathon, and they'll exhaust you. So again, when we want to ask you, right? Would it be worth it if you go through this whole process and you only buy back 2 hours of your day and you're able to double your business working 2 hours less? If you finally built a team of small people, a small team of people, not a team of small people, but a small team of people who really love and support you, you enjoy yourself more. I mean, I know we've got some golfers here and we're coming into golf season, guys. Like that extra 2 hours a day, even if whether it's 2 hours a day to hit the driving range, or, it's 2 hours a day to go to a spin class, or 2 hours a day to just, I don't know, cut out paper airplanes with your kids, right? It's having that extra space. And if you felt completely authentic every single time that you do everything in your business. Right. And this is really where we get into like making sure that you have support for yourself in your business. And a VA can be absolutely like game changing. It can be mind blowing just getting some of this stuff off your plate. And the cost of not getting support is going to be different for every person. But for some people, it's going to be time with family. For some people, it's going to be wasted money. For some people, it's going to be quality of life. For some people, it's just going to be that they don't hit their goals. So what I want, but the other thing that I want to go into really quickly before we go into the next section is, every single thing that's on there can be done by someone else. I don't care if you're the CEO or not. There's nothing that happens in my business that someone else couldn't do. And I know that there's ego attached to that. And trust me, I have battled with this. And I've talked about this in other trainings that I've done too, that you may have seen. My coach always tells me that we have two accounts. We have our ego account and we have our bank account, and you can only fill one at a time. So every single thing that you do in your business, you have to ask yourself, am I making this decision because I'm filling my ego account, or am I making this decision because I'm choosing to fill my bank account? Right. And a lot of the time what happens is the decisions that we make are filling our ego account. We're not letting things go. We're believing that we're the only people who can do things. And I get it. Like it hurts. I had one of my coaches the other day said, at the end of the day, your business could run completely without you. And I was like, what do you mean? It's my baby. And he's like, yeah, it's your baby, but you know this. And I was like, yeah, I know. There's nothing that I'm not special. And at the end of the day, the more that we can understand that, like, the more systematized, the more leverage, the more delegation that we have in the business, the better it's going to run. And I think that, everything can be systematized better. Like the systems that we've recently built out in Airtable for the people who are in the 7-figure agent program would absolutely blow your mind. Like absolutely blow your mind. Even the people at Airtable said, I don't know how you guys did this. I can't believe you're using this software like this. So there's always going to be a way to be better about it. But before you say, but when you feel those things come up of, no one else, I'm just going to do this myself. It's easier for me to do it myself. My clients only want me. When those sorts of things start to come up, I want you to ask, is this filling my ego account or is this filling my bank account? So how do they do it? Here are your pillars. Here are the 6 core pillars to 7 figures, to a 7-figure business with freedom. Okay. And I'm going to go through each of these very quickly. But again, this is just going to be the things that you actually need. All 6 of these pillars are going to lead you to the 7-figure business with freedom is the key here, right? You can hustle and grind to 7 figures. I've done it. I highly, highly don't recommend it. I used to be in a situation where when I first hit 7 figures, I was crying every time my phone rang because I was an absolute disaster. And I was handing my phone to anyone who was around me. I would give my phone to my mom and I would say, hey, can you answer this for me? I just can't right now. Right. And it was because I was so burnt out. And the reason why people get burnt out is because they don't have delegation systems, automation, and clarity in their business of what they should be doing and what they shouldn't. So, and I know that a lot of you have been asking about this, which is why I've probably gotten 100 messages from people in the listings lab asking me to go through what this is. So I'm going to go through it really quickly with you just so that you have the clarity on it. So we have the 7-figure agent, which is our next level program, which is a 12-month mentorship and mastermind program. And this is an example. So this is Justin Loncarek. He came into 7FA with $29 in his bank account. guys, if I'd known that, I never would have let him in, but he didn't tell me. And from March to December, he did 800,000 in GCI. So he brought back a ton of his freedom. He was one of the examples I gave earlier in the slideshow of him creating an ice rink and spending so much extra time with his kids. He's also starting a secondary business that I'm actually going to help him build as well, which is super exciting. His team is working like clockwork. He's the happiest he's ever been. His marriage is better. Long Carrick is his last name. His marriage is better. His relationship with his kids is better. He's happy as a clam. So again, these are the 6 things that you really need, and we're going to break these down. So mindset, sales, lead generation, your signature system and your methodology and how it's used throughout your entire business, not just from a marketing perspective. Operations, so the actual operations of the back end of your business. And then the last one is team and hiring. So how to get the right person in the right role at the right time. So I'm just going to go through what we do in this program and what it looks like, because I know you guys are going to have a ton of questions about this. So the first part of it is 4 live quarterly mastermind retreats. We do 4 of these in total per year. We're hopefully going to be able to do one relatively soon live. We have been for the last year and a bit, we've been doing them virtually, but we're getting to that point where I actually think we're going to be able to see people in person. So these are live, you have a choice. You can do them live, you can do them virtually. It's totally up to you. But the whole idea behind them is that we work on you and we work on your business as a collective. We have people in this program who are doing $250,000 a year. We have people in this program who are doing $5 million a year. So it really doesn't matter. We actually have, I think we have people who are under 200 now who have just recently come into the program. So this is really an opportunity for you to see and work with agents from all different levels in a super collaborative environment. Yes, it's in Toronto. Maybe it's in Toronto for now, but when we're able to travel and we're able to go around and about, the live masterminds will likely be somewhere else. Like maybe we'll do one in Costa Rica. Maybe we'll do one in Hawaii. Maybe, who knows, right? It's always about what the members want. It's not really up to me. Yes, would I like to go to Hawaii and do an event? Sure. But at the end of the day, it's about what's going to work best for the members. You also get one training call with me every month, which is basically whatever is relevant in the market is what that call's about. So the last one that I did was on low inventory, and not only how to manage your buyers and what to do with your buyers in a low inventory market, but also how to shift your marketing messaging to make sure that you are speaking to the people that you need to in order to get the listings that you want to get in a low inventory market. I know that there are people who are in 7FA right now who are absolutely drowning in listings in a super low inventory market. And a lot of that comes from the customization of the messaging. You also are going to have, so for each of these 6 pillars, there is a bi-weekly mini mastermind for each pillar. So you're not obviously going to be focusing on all 6 pillars at the same time. Let's say you are focused in on systems and operations. Then you're going to go to the bi-weekly mini mastermind that is it's small. This is a small group, and every single one of these pillars is led by someone who is an absolute expert at those things. I am good at a lot of things. I am not good at everything. No, Donna, this is for people who want to get to 7 figures. So for instance, I'm definitely not the person who should be running some of these pillars. So instead, what do we have? We have the best in the business who actually come in, they run these mini masterminds, and they do all of the support for those topics within the program. So you would have, let's say you and your assistant are both in the program, which is no extra cost for having an assistant or an administrator in the program with you. Let's say that you're focused in on, I don't know, paid traffic. And then you have someone on your team focused in on systems and operations. So you're going to each be going to a different bi-weekly mini mastermind every 2 weeks. Then you also have one-on-one calls available with each of the pillar experts on the Thursdays of every week. So let's say that you go to your systems your systems and delegation pillar, mini mastermind, and there's something like very specific that needs to be connected, so a piece of automation that really needs to be worked on, the key there is that that person is going to get on a call with you one-on-one and get that accomplished in that time period. So you do have one-on-one coaching available for any of the pillars, including mindset. We actually just switched this, so I need to update the slide. We're not, no longer using Slack. We're using a program called Discord. And if you have children who play video games, you probably already know what Discord is. But Discord is a messaging program. And basically what we do in that program is you have daily access to every single person on our team. So not only do you have all of the pillars channels for all of the messaging, but you also have your own one-on-one, you also have your own private channel that is only you and all of us. And the whole point of this is that we want a daily cadence of communication to be able to talk to you every single day to make sure that we are essentially in your business with you, and we're making sure that you're moving things forward on a daily basis. Sometimes we'll even get people who are like, hey, I'm having a bad day. And we're like, cool, let's talk about it. Right. And so you basically have not only the accountability, but you also have the daily support to make sure that all of your projects are moving forward. As well, you've got access to the online members portal as well. And you have a VIP ticket to the next Listings Lab Live, which we're planning, and I'm so excited about. So here are just some of the like basic topics that I want you to know that we go through and that we cover in the actual platform itself. So we go through hiring processes, onboarding processes, how to ensure team members stay long-term. So we weed out kind of opportunity ADD, people who are going to come and learn something and then leave. We go through the eliminate, automate, delegate process with every single thing that's on your plate right now. We go through culture and values, leadership. There's so much that we go through from a leadership standpoint when it comes to really making sure that you are showing up not only as a leader in your community to bring business in, but also how to lead your team, how to get the right person in the right seat. So this is why people have team churn, or people come and then they leave. And the reason behind it is that either you don't have the right person from a cultural standpoint, or they're not in the right seat. So we have 2 people on our team who are certified in profiling. And we use the Colby A to do all of our profiling. I am not a fan of DISC. So we use the Colby A, and we profile you, everyone on your team, and anyone who is even a possibility to come onto your team, to make sure that we're putting the right person with the right skill set. Do they get it? Do they have the capacity to do it? And do they want it? And making sure that we're putting everyone in the right place. So then as well, we have templates for all of your SOPs that you likely will need in your business. So all the standard operating procedures already built out, social media posts for hiring, sample contracts for everything on your team, your onboarding process for every single person who you would bring on your team, and exactly what that role would look like. We have every single system that you will want already built out and automated in Airtable. And then we have your plug and play like systems for all client delivery management as well. So this is just a sample. This is just a sample. There's far more than that. Obviously, there's 6 different pillars, and I've just focused in on one of them. So who is this for? Who is this program actually for? Because I'm sure that that's going to be a question that we get asked. This is for the people who are the most coachable. If you don't consider yourself to be super coachable, this is not for you. People like Justin, people like Chris Cook, who have gone from essentially 0 to 7 figures in a year, those are the people who are the most coachable. Right? People who want to move fast, people who really want to see the benefit and understand the benefit of having daily support, and who want to be a team player in a mastermind community. That's also really important. We don't want anyone in this community who's going to be a taker and not also a giver. Who is this not for? People who already think that they know everything. There are people like that. They're just like, oh, I already know everything. It's fine. My question to that person is always going to be, if you already know everything, why aren't you there? This is also not for people who don't want to work hard to achieve the goals, the freedom. And again, the people who don't want to be a team player. So here are some of the bigger benefits of something like this, whether it's with us, whether it's somewhere else, whether it's using just the stuff we talked about today. It's really about speed and saving time, right? The faster that you do something, the less time you waste. And I mean, I don't need to tell you, we talk about this all the time. You know, you can make more money, you can't get more time, right? We only have so much time. And I think a lot of the time we don't realize that we are spending unnecessary time and wasting unnecessary time on things that we should be spending on living life. Again, we also are going to help you from making mistakes. It's the idea of being able to see around the corner, right? What's coming? What are the next problems that you're going to have? What are the next things that you need to focus on and you need to be ready for? And avoiding the potholes, right? I mean, to be honest, I've made a million mistakes in my businesses. And the whole idea here is that now we're at a point where I've made all of the mistakes and we've seen all of the mistakes and we fixed all the mistakes, that we know when they're coming, and we can actually like help you avoid those. So the next part of it is always going to be cost of inaction. I talk about ROI all the time. We don't talk enough about COI. So your COI is what does it cost for you not to do these things? How much of your time would it take to figure this all out on your own, create all the SOPs, the templates, the contract, the hiring, the knowledge databases, and any other templates, to become that team leader, to create all your financial tracking, all of that stuff. So if this is something that it is even remotely an option, or you're thinking about it, I always say everything that I do is always a Pheno offer. It's feel invited, not obligated. But if you decide that you do want to talk about it, these calls will be with me. They won't be with anyone on the team. It's not like you're going to be talking to a salesperson or anything like that. You can book a call in specifically to talk to me, and we can go through your business, where you are, whether this is even a fit for you. And you can ask me any questions about, and we'll go through like the structure of the program and all of that again. But the real key here is just, I want to make sure that you have what you need. And I mean, there's probably people on this call that have had one of these calls with me already. And I've said, you're not ready yet. Or these are the things that you need to do, or here are your action items to get in place before you are going to be ready for a program like this. I will be brutally honest, and I will never bring someone into this program that I don't think that it can help. That's a really good question. No, you don't need to finish the listings lab first. I would say 95% of the people who come into the 7-figure agent program have not finished the listings lab, Justin and Chris Cook included. Most of the people have not. One of the benefits to coming in and getting the higher level of support is actually us being able to get you through all the listings lab stuff very quickly, and being able to make sure on a one-on-one capacity that everything that you're doing is built out and is firing exactly how it should be. So there's just this is just a very high level of support. We're literally going to be talking to you every single day. There is a daily cadence of communication. So if you want to book a call, the link is right there. Ashley's dropped it. No pressure though. And if you have questions about whether or not you should even book a call, or whether or not it's even worth your time to book a call to talk about it, just send me an email. You can, my inbox is always fully open to you. But I would highly, highly suggest, please use the tools that we gave you today. Even that clarity is going to make a huge difference in your day-to-day. Even being able to understand what needs to go and what needs to stay will give you the clarity that you need in order for you to actually be able to move things forward and start to pull some of that stuff off your plate. Because at the end of the day, again, I just want to reiterate, when I talked about this at the Listings Lab Live, I actually cried, because I think it's so important that we understand that, you know, we're not here for an unlimited amount of time. I just had a birthday, and I don't know why that birthday hit me really hard, where I was like, oh my God, I'm getting old. And I think that it's so important that we live our lives to the max, and really with the understanding too that, you know, we need to shift our mindset from, I am creating this business so that I have a better life, and not, I'm building my life in whatever I can fit in around my business. It's so important. And I want you, 20 years from now to be like, I'm so glad that I made these shifts. I'm so glad that I changed my thought process around this, because I don't have any regrets. And I think that this is so, so important that so important. I just think it's so, so important that we understand the value that we have and what we've been given. And I'm not going to get all spiritual on you, but I really think that like taking full advantage of the life and the time that we have is super important. And building out systems in your business might not seem like the direct route to that, but it actually is. And it's the reason why I care so much about this stuff, is because I don't want to be that person, and I don't want anyone else who comes into my orbit or my world or my vortex to ever be in a situation where 20 years from now they think I should have done things differently. I wasted some of my life. So use the stuff that we went through today. If you have any questions about any of it, let me know. Book a call if you want to, and we'll chat. And if there's not an available time slot for you, and you're like, oh my gosh, why is this 2 weeks from now? Just send me a book a call, and then for whenever is available, and then send me an email and say, hey, I want to talk to you sooner, and I'll finagle my schedule and get you in faster. Okay, cool. If you guys have questions about anything, like I said, let me know. And I hope this was helpful. If you haven't downloaded made a copy of that task audit, energy audit spreadsheet, I highly suggest you do. And if you don't have it or you lose it or whatever, just send me an email. Okay, cool, guys. I hope you guys have the most amazing day. It is 2:00. Guys, I did this in an hour. I did not talk your ear off for 2 hours today. So that is a win for me. We are done in an hour. Go and enjoy the rest of your day and have the best. Yes, Jane, if you want a recording of the call, since you stayed through the whole thing, just send me an email and I'll send you a recording. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.